Welcome to Reboot Body AI.
Welcome to your daily dose of biohacking and wellness information, proudly brought to you by Reboot Body.
And just a quick but really important heads up before we dive in. All the information here is for educational purposes. It is not medical advice. Please, always talk to your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional before you make any changes to your health routine, okay? Let's get into it.
All right, today we are talking about something that's on everybody's mind, literally, cognitive health. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s or your 60s, we all want to keep our brains sharp, right? So today we're going to build an evidence-based guide to a better brain, step by step.
But first, why is this so important? Well, it kind of starts with this one number, 5%. What in the world could that mean? Well, that's the rate our brain volume can shrink per decade once we hit the age of 40. Yeah, imaging studies have shown this, and it's a pretty sobering reminder that our most important organ is always changing.
Now, this is a natural part of aging. It's happening to all of us. So, that brings us to the big question. Are we just along for the ride, or can we actually do something to protect and maybe even boost our brain function?
To figure that out, we're going to build what I like to call a pyramid of evidence. We'll start with the big, solid foundation, things like the Mediterranean diet. Then we'll get more specific with key micronutrients, we'll look at hydration, we'll even touch on the whole smart drug debate, and then we'll put it all together into your very own cognitive toolkit.
So, first things first, let's build that foundation. You know, the biggest, most well-supported strategy for your brain over the long haul isn't some magic pill, it's the food you eat every day.
And the pattern with the most solid evidence behind it is, you guessed it, the Mediterranean diet. We're talking lots of fruits, veggies, fish, and less of the dairy, red meat, and sugars. It's really less about restriction and more about loading up on brain-healthy foods. But what does the science actually say?
Well, the weight of evidence here is pretty heavy. A huge systematic review looked at 18 different long-term studies. And what they found was that 13 of them, that's more than 70%, linked sticking to a Mediterranean diet with slower cognitive decline and a lower risk of Alzheimer's. That's a huge deal.
And this quote from the journal Frontiers in Nutrition just says it all. The researchers called this diet essential for maintaining our quality of life as we get older. It's not just a nice to have, it's the bedrock of our pyramid.
Okay, so our foundation is set. Now let's build on top of it. We're going to zoom in from the big picture diet to some specific micronutrients. Think of these as the individual building blocks for your brain.
First up, anthocyanins. That's a fancy word for the stuff that makes blueberries blue, cherries red, and red onions, well, red. They're powerful antioxidants, and there's been a ton of buzz about them for brain health.
And this is where we have to be really honest with the science. A big meta-analysis that pulled together 14 different high-quality trials found something surprising. It turns out supplementing with anthocyanins didn't really have a significant effect on working or verbal memory. Doesn't mean those blueberries are bad for you, of course, but maybe the hype for a supplement got a little ahead of the evidence.
Okay, so let's look at some other compounds. How about lutein and zeaxanthin? You'll find these in leafy greens like kale and spinach. And what's super interesting about them is that they actually concentrate inside the brain.
And here, the evidence gets a lot stronger. One 6-month randomized controlled trial, that's the gold standard, found that supplementing with lutein and zeaxanthin actually improved visual memory and learning for adults who are already noticing some mild issues. Now that is a direct, measurable benefit.
And then there's vitamin D. With this one, it's not just about what it can do for you, but what a lack of it can do to you. Research shows that being deficient is linked to actual physical changes in the brain. We're talking a smaller hippocampus, your memory center, and messed up brain connectivity. But people with enough vitamin D, they didn't show those same negative changes. Think about that for a second. A direct link between a nutrient and the very structure of your brain. All right, let's take a step back from the tiny micronutrients and ask a really basic question. Our bodies are mostly water, right? So what does simple hydration do for our brain? You'd think this would be a simple one, but it's not. This is a perfect example of science in action. A major review of studies on this found that the evidence is split, literally 50-50. Half the studies found that being dehydrated hurt memory, and the other half found it made no real difference. It just goes to show you, even the basics can be complicated.
And now, we climb to the very top of our pyramid. This is where we find the most targeted and, let's be honest, the most controversial stuff, nootropics, also known as smart drugs.
Generally, these fall into 3 buckets. You've got your prescription stimulants, like Adderall or Ritalin. Then there are synthetic compounds like racetams, which were designed specifically for cognitive function. And of course, you have natural compounds we all know, like good old caffeine or ginseng.
But here is the critical point. Even when you look at all the research on these hacks, the experts always bring us right back down to the bottom of our pyramid. As this quote from Psychology Today points out, the best ways to enhance your brain aren't found in a bottle. It's getting enough sleep, exercising, and eating that nutrient-rich diet. The foundation is everything.
So that brings us full circle. We've looked at the evidence from the base all the way to the peak. Now let's pull it all together into a practical toolkit so you can build your own pyramid for cognitive health.
So here's the game plan. First, build your foundation with that Mediterranean style of eating. Second, make sure you're getting those key building blocks like lutein, zeaxanthin, and vitamin D. Third, even though the direct memory evidence is mixed, hydration is absolutely a non-negotiable for your overall health. Fourth, and this is a big one, lifestyle will always beat hacks. Prioritize sleep and exercise. And finally, remember, there is no single magic bullet. It's about building a strong, resilient system over time.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. You only get one brain. Based on all this, what's the first, most important block you're going to make sure is in your pyramid?
If you feel empowered by what you learned today, go ahead and hit that like button. And even better, subscribe to the Reboot Body channel right now.
Subscribing is your commitment to continuous optimization. You won't want to miss out on the tools you need to optimize your biology, delivered right to you every single week.
Thanks for watching. It's time to truly reboot body for peak performance.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.